Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Press Box. I'm Timmy,
And I'm Steven.
and we're here to answer the call. Good morning, guys. Happy Monday, November 18th. The month is already half over, bud. It's already half over. Holy crap.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Uh,
Pretty crazy.
we had a great weekend of football, both college and NFL. This is the college hour. I'm super pumped up. I got to watch a lot of good games. I know you caught a lot of the highlights.
Yeah,
But
I got to watch the Boise State game because I recorded it. But other than that, I was getting my butt kicked at work Saturday, so I got to watch some highlights. I didn't get through a ton, but I got through as much as I could before the NFL game started.
Boise State, it was crazy. I was actually messaging you, and I was like, oh crap, Boise State's already down 14. I didn't know you had it recorded, obviously, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, don't spoil it. I'm like, oh crap, and anyway, I was watching that game, and I want to say that I am a little impressed with what Boise State did. Not in the beginning, going down 14 to San Jose State was kind of crazy for me. But the fact is they were down 14, and they were like, okay, well, we're about to get back in this game. They got back in the game, and then they ended up winning. I think it was 42-21.
Something like that.
Yeah. 42-21 after being down 14. So
Yeah, Mr. Ashton Genty did it again, 3 touchdowns. And the surprising thing is, like, 2 of his touchdowns were, like, late in the fourth quarter.
Oh, wow.
Like, and then he had 1 in the third.
Did you hear
so it's not
who he would like to get drafted by?
I did not.
He's like, could you imagine, like, me and Kyler Murray? He goes, we would be the shortest backfield in the NFL. So Kyler Murray's, I think, 5'10", I think is what they have him listed as.
Yeah.
And Ashton Genty's 5'9", so he's about my height.
Unfortunately, I don't think Ashton Genty will make it to
Arizona,
the Cardinals, but
he also kind of hopes the Cowboys draft him because he did he's from Texas, and he has a lot of family still there. So I'm like, I don't know. Please, not the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't.
But
look, Ashton Genty's one of my favorite players. I don't want to have to roast him on a weekly basis because he's playing for the Cowboys.
A lot of good games. It started with the Texas-Arkansas rivalry game. I really thought it was going to be a little bit better. Texas actually kind of, they didn't put up the eye-popping numbers that I thought that they would against Arkansas's defense. Arkansas's defense actually kind of held them. It was 20-10. And that brings me to my question. Should the Hogs let Sam Pittman go? He came in that first year, and he had a great season, but ever since then it's kind of been like mediocre at best. And they brought in Bobby Petrino as their offensive coordinator, and Bobby Petrino, he used to be the head coach at Arkansas, and he was supposed to come in, and this offense was supposed to be electric. And so far, they have their moments, but really the Hogs are kind of an up and down team, So I want to know, bud, do you think they should let him go?
That's how many seasons he's been there?
I think 5.
This 5? Oh yeah. He's been there. He's been there way too long for them to be this up and down. They're just so hit and miss, and I don't quite understand.
Well,
why they're so hit and miss all the time.
Here's what I notice. I do tend to watch a lot of them. Family is big Hog fans. I root for them. But here's what I have noticed. Okay, is it's like that they're afraid to really attack down deep. They've got speed, guys. They've got speed receivers. They got Satania. They got, Armstrong, who's a big body, but he's kind of quick too. And they have another one that actually transferred in because from a different school, and he's in track and plays football for the Hogs. So they've got speed, but it's like at times they want to just kind of pound the rock, and that works sometimes, but at times you really just need to take the top off, as soon as those safeties and stuff start cheating, hit that play action over the top and let your speedy receivers go get it, because there are times that Taylor Green, he looks for it, but then like he checks down. So I don't know if it's just they are getting covered, they're not getting open, or what. But this offense could really be more explosive, and I want to see more of the zone read option RPOs from Taylor Green. I think he could really execute it. And guys, if you remember, I talked about this in the preview of the Texas-Arkansas rivalry game. Taylor Green has characteristics of Lamar Jackson, and their running back has characteristics of Derrick Henry. So why not utilize that when they go to start stacking the box? Just let the quarterback pull it and run. They had it going early in the game, and it was working, and then they kind of get away from their game plan, it seems like. But
yeah, I mean, a lot of teams that do that. It's unfortunate because Arkansas could be a really good team if they just play consistently.
Ohio State scores 31 straight to beat Northwestern 31-7. This game was actually cool because this game was played at Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs in baseball. Northwestern went with like a gothic look. They went all black with the little bit of purple. It was a really cool, interesting jersey matchup. But Ohio State, they gave them the 7, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna play. Now Ohio State has a big matchup this week with Indiana. They're hosting Indiana on Saturday, and I'm a little disappointed, bud, that this is a noon kickoff game. But I feel like Fox is dropping the ball yet again. They're not putting
this should be
elite matchup.
Time.
Yes, 6:30 game. Let the fans kind of really just soak in the atmosphere. And Fox has won. A few weeks ago it was Ohio State at Penn State, and it was a noon kickoff game. So I don't know, man.
Something that would be really cool that I think college should implement is flexing the schedule. Kind of like the NFL does.
Yeah.
Maybe, the NFL, there's certain criteria. It can only happen after like week 11 or 12 and, blah, blah, blah. But, put some criteria in there. Let's flex some of these games that, at the beginning of the season may seem like they're not going to be as good. And Indiana, for all intents and purposes, nobody thought they were going to do anything this year.
Right.
But when we get to this point, that should be a primetime game. Let's flex that into the primetime slot. And
well, so I'm looking at the schedule now, okay? And there is no primetime game on Fox. We have ESPN2, we have SEC Network, we have ESPN, ABC/ESPN Plus, we have the CW Network, we have CBSSN, CBS Sports Network. Yeah, those are the games that are in the primetime slot. And I want to read you those games, okay? I want to read you these games. Because honestly, there's not really a game that, I don't know, there's really kind of not a game that is worthy of that. Okay, nothing knocking on Boise State, but it's who they're playing. They're at Wyoming. They're favored by 23. Then you got Washington State at Oregon State. Not really eye-popping there. Alabama, Oklahoma. If this was the Oklahoma that played in the Big 12, this game would actually be interesting. But it's a home game for Oklahoma. Alabama's favored by 14.
What happens if Oklahoma wins, though? I mean,
oh, that's a great story for next Monday. We got Texas A&M at Auburn. Texas A&M is favored by 2.5. And then, it's Vandy LSU is kind of really the prime matchup. And really, the only reason why it's kind of considered a key matchup is because the struggles of LSU this year. They've lost 3 straight by 10 plus points.
yeah.
And then Cincinnati at K-State. So,
yeah, there's just. I mean, I said it before the show. There's not a lot of marquee matchups this week. There's a few good games, but not nearly as many as we've seen in past weeks.
Right. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Fox, I don't know if it's you just rather get your game out of the way at noon and that, maybe it's, the other shows like, on Fox or scheduled at later times. I don't know, but for me, if I'm Fox Network, I want this game to be a prime time game. I want it to be when everybody is kind of at home, maybe eating dinner. Hey, let's turn on the game. It's a great matchup, but hey, I'm going to watch it regardless. It's a noon kickoff game, and
yeah,
I'm going to be watching it regardless. But I just like these marquee matchups to be a prime time game.
100%.
Speaking of prime time, woo! Coach Prime beat Utah 49-24. It is his first 4-game winning streak as the head coach of Colorado. So he's really turned this program around.
Yeah, he's done a good job. I don't like all the extra BS, but he has done a really good job.
But that's who he is, and so I can respect it. Do I have to like it? No, I don't have to. I don't have to respect it. But it is who he is. And it's like Pat McAfee. When he signed with ESPN, he never changed. Pat McAfee is still Pat McAfee, and Coach Prime is still Coach Prime, and really, like I respect that he doesn't change just because he's a head coach. Like this is how he was as a player. This is how he's been his whole life. So good job, Coach Prime. And I don't know. Now we're talking. Now we're talking Colorado maybe winning the Big 12 title and being in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's not something I thought I'd hear at the beginning of the season.
No, because last year they only won 4 games, guys. They only won the 4 games, so. But hey, kudos to Coach Prime. Kudos to Coach Prime. There, he's turned the ball, the program around.
So here's the main problem. It's not so much the, being cocky part of it with Coach Prime. It's the, last week he came out and said, he would absolutely do everything in his power to make sure that Shedeur and Travis Hunter pretty much didn't go to a bad team, a team that, he didn't think they would be good in. That reminds me way too much of Archie Manning and Eli Manning when he got drafted by the
Chargers. Yep, yeah. When Eli got drafted by the Chargers, you're right.
And he pretty much said, I'm not playing for the Chargers. That just...
I get
it. You don't want to play for certain teams, but you should be grateful you're even getting drafted.
That is true.
True. There are 100,000 other kids that would love to be where you are and wouldn't care where they went. So
one thing
that's where I have the problem.
One thing that is kind of a concern for me for Colorado going in, like as we progress and possibly making the college playoffs, is they are a crappy running team. I mean, they do not run the ball at all.
No, they don't.
I actually did a preview of this game earlier in the week, and they are only averaging like 78.2 rushing yards per game. When you get in the playoffs, you definitely want to lean on a running game to control that clock and not let other elite offenses on the field. And I think the fact that they rely so much on Shedeur and Travis Hunter to make the plays, I don't think that's a a really good recipe for success, like long term, in terms of making it to all the way to the national championship.
Yeah, I mean it's not. And here's the deal. What do they look like next season without Travis Hunter and Shador? I mean,
right. Does Coach
I haven't really.
Does Prime even stay there?
Yeah, that's.
So
I haven't heard too. I haven't heard too much on the recruiting front for them, but yeah.
So
it'll be interesting.
Cade Klubnik, which I thought his last name was Kubiak, but it's Klubnik. He gains more. He's the QB of Clemson. He gained more rushing yards on one play than Clemson had all game to score the go-ahead touchdown to beat Pitt 24-20. He just kind of, the play just developed, and all of a sudden all he saw was open field. Because it was like a whole bunch of like deep crossing routes, I think. And next thing you know, like he's got like all these yards, and it was just supposed to be a first down. And then he just kept going, and he ends up scoring. Clemson, though, I feel are not the same Clemson that we're used to seeing over the years. That dynasty that was built in Clemson. It's kind of like the Alabama dynasty, and it's slowly kind of starting to fade out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, this game I thought was going to be a lot better than it was, and it wasn't. Tulane just opened a big old can of whoop ass on Navy.
And yeah.
That's really sad.
How Navy has fallen is, since that loss to Notre Dame, is pretty crazy.
Yeah. What is that now? Three games that they've lost?
3 in a row, yeah. And they haven't looked good in any of those games.
So Tulane secures their spot in the AAC, the American Atlantic Conference. Yep. As well as Army. So Army and Tulane will face off in the AAC for the AAC title. And guys, now we're talking like Tulane or Army could be in the playoffs. I mean, there is a scenario. Okay. I want to apologize to everybody right now while I'm thinking of it. I thought it was SEC, ACC, Big 12, and the Big or Big 10, whatever we call it now, was the automatic 4 bids, okay? And they get the first round bye. I learned throughout last week and over the weekend, that's not the case at all. And there's a scenario out there, guys, where an SEC team does not get the first round bye in the playoffs. Holy crap, how crazy would that be?
There's also a scenario where an ACC team doesn't get the first round bye.
Oh, that would be absolutely crazy. But
there's actually a scenario where both don't get a first round bye and they go to Boise State and Army.
Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about that in the top 25 segment. I just wanted to, but I did while I was thinking about it, I wanted to apologize to everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, I text you, yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday I was like, I didn't realize even that anybody but those Power 4 conferences could get the first round bye. I thought when we were reading the college football playoffs earlier in the season, the setup, I could have swore it said, the top 4 teams from the Power 4 conferences would get a first round bye, but
right, yeah.
Boy, how wrong was I?
How wrong were we? I mean, but not just we. I mean, College Game Day had to sit there and actually explain it, because I think a lot of fans thought the same thing that we thought, and College Game Day did a really good job of breaking it down and actually showed me a couple of the scenarios. So I appreciate that. Louisville, oh my God, Louisville loses in crazy fashion. They lose 38-35 to Stanford. They have the ball with 20 seconds left. All they've got to do is go down and kick a field goal. They lose this not because they threw an interception. They didn't even they didn't even fumble the football, but they lost the football game in the fourth quarter. This game did not go to overtime. So it was like 4 straight passes. They went for it on fourth down. 4 straight passes, incomplete. Stanford gets the ball, moves it just a little bit, and kicks a game-winning field goal as time expires.
That's crazy. That is something else right there.
That's a whole that's a whole new way of losing. That's kind of right up there with the Jets, Jets, and the Dallas Cowboys. But that's NFL. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we'll get to them here in a little bit.
So the Tigers, the LSU Tigers, are not meant to survive in a swamp, and they did not survive the swamp, and they lose 27-16 to Florida. LSU has lost 3 straight by like 10 plus points. What is going on here? What is going on? Maybe Brian Kelly should be fired. And I know Notre Dame fans out there are probably just jumping for joy because he left Notre Dame. He leaves Notre Dame to go to LSU. And his reason is he wanted to win a national title. Oh, yeah, boy, did that not age well.
How's that working out for you, buddy?
You know, Notre Dame's 9-1. LSU's not. So LSU's out of the playoffs, guys. They are officially done. They're cooked. They're not going to the SEC title game. They're not going to the playoffs. And this was a team that I really thought, at the beginning of the year was going to do something. They lost to USC, but then they bounced back, and I was like, okay, no, it's not the case. It's not the case. But at LSU, you'll make a bowl game, but that's about all you get this year.
Yeah, it's crazy how good some teams have done in the past, and this year they're just not there.
I seen a thing, and it was like for the first time ever, really, the college, and a large part of that is because this is the first year under the 12-team format. But this is like the first year in a long time that it's like wide open, where anybody can get in. That's exciting times. The USC Trojans win a battle at the Coliseum. They beat Nebraska 28-20. So, they're 1 win away now from a bowl game. So Nebraska's also, trying to get in a bowl game. They continue to struggle, though. They continue to struggle. Matt Rule, is it?
Yep.
He, I don't know. Maybe he's on the hot seat too. We don't know, guys. There could be a lot of college coaches on the hot seat if things don't get turned around.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting coaching carousel this year.
Yeah. So, okay, hang on. Let's do a little something real quick. So let's say Coach Prime doesn't want to stay at Colorado. His son doesn't play there. Travis Hunter, he's not there. He doesn't want to go to the NFL. He did come out and say that. But what's stopping him from, maybe he goes to LSU. Maybe he goes to Nebraska. Or I know Arkansas fans probably wouldn't like it, but what if he went to the Hogs? What if he became the next Razorback coach?
That's a lot of talent right there that he would have.
What, at Arkansas?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He would have a lot of talent because I think Taylor Green would come back for his senior year, and the receiving core is pretty young, and a lot of players would want to come to Arkansas just because it's Coach Prime. So I think he would nail it in the transfer portal as well.
Yep.
So South Carolina is the only Rooster fight you really should be cheering for, and they beat Missouri 34-30. And this game was crazy. It was, South Carolina, Missouri, South Carolina, back and forth. And at the end, toward the end, I was like, oh, here we go. Missouri's going to win. And then, no, here comes South Carolina. 34-30. It was a great game. It was one of those games that I did watch. I had it in my quad box for the majority of it. I did have to kind of keep flipping through to see what was happening in some of the other games, but this was another one of those games that was just really good. And guys, South Carolina might be the scariest 7-3 team in the nation right now, and they could easily be 8-2 or 9-1 even. They lost by 2 points to to Bama. Sorry, they lost 2 points to Bama. That was a game that they could have easily have won. And if that was the case, then we're sitting here talking about a whole different scenario in the SEC. But I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for South Carolina. I'd like to see them go. They've already made a bowl game. There is a scenario where they can make the SEC title game. They need a little help, but I'm excited. On the emerging South Carolina.
Yeah.
We talked about Boise State. Arizona State burns the Wildcats to keep their playoff chances, to keep chances at the Big 12 title alive. Arizona State. They were kind of flying under the radar. I didn't even know that they were as good as they were until this game right here. Like, I didn't realize what their record really was until I was sitting down and I was doing my top 25, and I was like, "Oh crap! Arizona State's 8-2. They're 8-2." I think
they were sneaky good most of the year, and I mean they just flew so far under the radar.
They got a big matchup against BYU this Saturday. Guys, this is a game I think Arizona State can win. I think Arizona takes it to BYU this weekend, and then we're talking Arizona State, Colorado, in the Big 12 title. Holy crap! Holy crap! Yeah.
Did Arizona State and Colorado play earlier in the season?
Like Arizona State and Colorado, like head to head? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Haven't they already played this season? Each other?
I don't know. I can find out.
I want to say they did, and Arizona State beat them.
Arizona State. No, they haven't played each other yet.
Maybe Colorado played actual Arizona. I don't know. I thought it was Arizona State. Yeah,
they did. Now I do know that Colorado did play actual Arizona. That was back in October, about a month ago. They played Arizona, but yeah, no, Arizona State they haven't played yet.
Yeah, because that's the game me and you picked Colorado to win, and then they just came out and got decimated by Arizona.
No, they won that one. We picked Arizona. And that was the game that they came out.
You're right.
So Arizona State in the Big 12, guys, I don't know. I'm for it. They came over from the Pac-12, and I don't know, guys. I don't know. This Big 12 is going to be heated up over the next couple weeks, so it's exciting times. Oh, Georgia bites Tennessee 31-17, keeps the SEC title and playoff chances alive. Guys, this was kind of a game that really Tennessee should have won. It wasn't until late that Georgia actually started doing anything. Tennessee was pretty dominant early. But hey, Carson Beck, he had a pretty solid game. Played a lot better than he had in the previous weeks. Georgia's all of a sudden saying, "Hey, don't forget about us. Don't forget about us." And I did pick Georgia just because, Kirby Smart has never lost 2 in a row. And other than losing to Ole Miss, he doesn't lose to teams not named Bama. So, but Georgia, I don't know. Georgia isn't the same Georgia team, I don't feel like, of recent years either. So, really,
no.
Guys, I'm actually kind of rooting for Ole Miss in the SEC right now. And that's crazy. But we talk a lot about the Ole Miss offense being high. Guys, that Ole Miss defense is actually underrated. They have three of their guys like top in the sacks. Like 3 of their guys were top 5 in sacks this year. So That defense.
That's insane.
That defense is sneaky good, and I guess I just been overlooking their defense, but their defense is pretty good, pretty good. So I'm actually rooting for Ole Miss. I hope they just win out. I hope they win the SEC title and see what they do in the playoffs, because I think that'll be a good one. I think that'll be a good one.
So here's my perspective on it all. And some people are going to agree with this, some people are going to disagree. It's been Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Ohio State in the national championship so many times that I just really, really do not want to see them even make the playoffs. Any of those four teams.
Oh,
just if we're being honest, like, because it just makes it boring. The same couple teams.
Oh, 100
every year.
That was like when Clemson was dominant and they were winning. They won like the back-to-back national titles and stuff like that. It just no. So the fact that Bama's struggling this year, the fact that Georgia has kind of struggled a little bit, Ohio State got beat by Oregon. I'm for this. I'm for it. I want to see teams like South Carolina, Ole Miss, Boise State, Tulane, even. I want to see some of these newer. Hey, I'm excited for Colorado. I'll even take Colorado because they're not somebody that has been there before. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't think any team in college football right now has a chance at beating Oregon in the national championship. But it would be nice to see some new faces.
I don't know. Oregon. I feel like they kind of got a little lucky against Wisconsin this past weekend, guys, if I'm being honest.
Okay. I mean, if one lucky game out of all the other dominating wins is...
Well, I don't know. I just feel like, and kudos to Oregon because they won an ugly game. It was an ugly game. Their offense wasn't firing on all cylinders like normal. And that's what great teams tend to do, is win the ugly ones. But I don't know, guys. Like, we'll have to see how Oregon plays in the playoffs, because Wisconsin, they were actually pushing Oregon around quite a bit in this game. So,
realistically, what would your ideal national championship match be?
My ideal national championship?
Yes. Like, if you had to pick two teams to be in that game
Oregon,
today.
Ole Miss.
Interesting.
I think they match up well. Both have high-powered offenses. Both have pretty good defenses. I think it would be a good one. Who would you pick?
Yeah.
Oh, how are you gonna ask me and then not have one?
I'm thinking.
See, I didn't even have to think about that. I didn't even know you were gonna ask me that. I was just like Oregon, Ole Miss, like that. That seems like a...
Well, here's the deal. I don't follow college football quite as much as you do, so I don't want to say Oregon, Ole Miss just because Ole Miss has been playing really well. I know it's going to be Oregon in the national championship game. I'm going to say Oregon.
Now wait a minute. The question is who would we like to? What matchup we would like to see, right?
Oh, what matchup I'd like to see? Is not realistic. So I'm gonna base this in some realistic capacity.
Okay.
Because if I was to say my ideal matchup, it'd be Boise State versus Army, just because I'm a huge fan of those two. You know what I mean? Like, there's no realistic shot that Boise State and Army are making it to the national championship game.
No, okay. So which one do I think?
Yeah, like, realistically, like, who do you think will end up in the national championship game? Not like I guess I worded that badly. Not your, like, dream matchup, but realistically, like, who do you think will end up in the national championship game?
Well, it really kind of depends on how the final seeding goes. Because, say Ole Miss, like, if Ole Miss isn't in the same bracket as Oregon, so the only time that they would meet, then yeah, I could see that. So currently Oregon, Uh, Probably. Gosh, dang. There's no second clear like winner in this.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I'm coming to. Like Oregon, clearly,
I'm looking at the top
you
25 right now. You know, like the new top 25. Obviously, that's not the college rankings, but I'm looking at this and I'm just trying to like envision how this would go. Because Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, they're all Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that those two Big Ten teams make it all the way? So
yeah, because they don't file the bracket with specific. You know, it's not like the NFL where AFC teams are on the AFC side, NFC are on the NFC side. You know, you could have a Big Ten team on the left, Big Ten team on the right.
So like if they got like the 6-7 ranking, I think they would be in the second bracket, and then that would
be... anywhere on that second side, really. 6, 7, 11, 12, 9, 10, I think.
I'm gonna, probably the matchup that's gonna happen, and it's not one I want to happen. Is probably gonna be Georgia, Oregon.
Yeah,
but
that's
Oregon, Texas. I think
I think Texas will get exposed in the playoffs.
It's possible.
I think I think Texas has showed their true colors.
They kind of been a little bit exposed, but I don't know. Maybe that's what they needed to get fueled up.
Yeah, no, I mean if we're going my ideal matchup, I want Oregon versus Boise State.
Shoot, I want Indiana to make it. What are you talking about? I want good old Indiana.
I think Oregon Boise State would be a really good game.
The rematch, okay. Rematch from like week 2.
Yeah, I mean that's Boise's only loss, and I mean I think it proved that Boise could keep up with those bigger teams. Oregon, Boise State, Oregon, Georgia is probably what it's going to end up being, which will be really disappointing. But
yeah, all right. So we're talking about these college playoffs, and let's go ahead and run through the top 25. That way, everybody can kind of. Before we do that, though, I have a couple of call outs on the college side that I'd like to make right quick. So let's go ahead and call these people out. And they're both call of shame. They're real call outs this week. First up is call of shame, Nebraska. Nebraska has not made a bowl game since 2016. They're currently 5-5, with Wisconsin and Iowa left this year. So that's not even guaranteed that they're gonna, and they play Wisconsin, and the winner of that will be in the bowl game. I don't know if Nebraska makes the bowl game this year.
Yeah, I don't. That's a tough one. I don't think they do.
Wisconsin and Iowa. I mean, Iowa hasn't been as great, but I don't know. If it's at Iowa, definitely not. But, it's just, that's tough. They haven't made a bowl game since 2016. Come on. Like, what are you guys doing? You guys were once a great program, and now you're not. The Patrick Mahomes wannabe lookalike was supposed to be what took you to the promised land, and so far not.
Yeah, I think he tries imitating Patrick Mahomes a little bit too much, but whatever.
I mean, the hair, the way he tried to throw sometimes.
All the time. His whole touchdown celebration, his whole celebration in general. It's literally everything that Patrick Mahomes does. And it's a super weird, like I know you're trying to get the clout from it, but I don't know. A lot of people are for it, but that's just, I don't know. Be your own man.
So my next call of shame is a Purdue wide receiver. Oh, this pains me. This kills me watching. Like when I seen this, I couldn't believe it. So, Purdue wide receiver Denylon Morset. I hope I said that right. He catches a great touchdown pass. It's awesome. Heck yeah. He's doing the celebration. He catches it completely out of bounds. Like, I'm not talking like, oh, he didn't get a foot down. I'm talking he was standing out of bounds at the back of the end zone, thought he was in the end zone, caught the ball, and then celebrated like he scored a touchdown.
That's great. That is great.
Like, it's the back. You know how the end zone has the two pylons, the front pylon and the back pylon. He is behind the back pylon, facing the quarterback, catches the ball completely out of bounds, and then celebrates like he's like, oh, I thought I was in bounds. Wait a minute, what?
Did he not realize?
No, he
field awareness, buddy. Field awareness.
He did not know. He thought he was in bounds. He thought he was in bounds. He celebrated
crazy.
And everything. You know, college football final does this. You know, like they do like that's $1, and you know that's for the bad plays, and I'm pretty sure that made it on there this week because it was worthy of making the call out segment, so it has to be worthy of somebody else noticing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he thought he was in bounds, guys. That is field awareness. You know, and it wasn't like he was running and then went out of bounds. No, like he ran his route, stopped. He's out of bounds, and then catches the ball completely out of bounds. So it's not like he just, you know, didn't realize that he ran out of the back of the end zone. No, he literally stopped and was looking at the quarterback. So both feet were out of bounds, and he catches this. Do better. That really hurt your team. Although, I mean, you were kind of not going to win that one anyway. I believe you were playing Penn State, and yeah. But, you know, still, do better. Do better. Well, my top 25 this week didn't do as great last week's. I did miss two teams. So I did get 1 through 9. You know, last week I got 1 through 12 exactly right. This week is only 1 through 9. So I put Oregon. Okay, so the first 9 I'll just read from the top 25 because that's the same as mine. It goes Oregon.
Could you do the top 5? Because I got a problem with this top 5.
You got a problem with the top 5?
Yep.
All right, so we'll start with the top 5. Oregon. No problem there. Ohio State. Texas.
Ohio State's where my problem starts.
Texas, Penn State, Indiana. Okay, that's the top 5.
Yeah, Indiana should be 2, and everybody else should move down 1. Period, point blank. I don't care. I don't care. Well, what Indiana has done this season is absolutely amazing, and to discredit them for 10 wins and 0 losses, being undefeated this far into the season, just because they haven't played as many high-profile matchups as some of the other teams, I'm sorry. They should be ranked number 2. Undefeated, period, point blank. There's no excuse.
They beat Ohio State this week. That no one can argue that they deserve to be number 2. Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss. So that's 6 through 9, guys. Yes, I put Ole Miss at 9, but realistically, I feel Ole Miss should be 8. They did beat Georgia, you know, and they pushed Georgia around. I don't know why I put them at 9, but the AP agreed with me on this.
I would actually say that Ole Miss deserves to be 7, and Alabama and Georgia both moved down 1 spot.
And that's fair too. That's fair too. This is kind of where it starts getting a little crazy. Like I have the teams here. I just don't have the correct order. So at number 10, I put Miami. You know, they were on a bye week. I put Miami. You know, with the BYU and Tennessee loss, that moved them up a couple spots. the AP poll puts Tennessee, an 8-2 Tennessee team ahead of all these people. And I want to hear who you think deserves to be at 10. I already know, but like I want to hear who you.
Honestly, if it was me, it would have went Boise State, Miami, and then then SMU. You know, I don't think Tennessee should be ranked at 10 with especially above 4-9-1 teams. I mean,
Okay, so I put Miami. AP poll put Tennessee. Now at 11, I put Boise State. They've only lost one game. It was to Oregon, and they only lost that game 38-35, guys. They lost that game to, what is now the number one team in the nation, 38-35. So I put Boise State at 11, which arguably, yeah, they could be 10. Okay. AP poll put Miami at 11. Now I put SMU at 12. They're the top team in the ACC. AP poll put Boise State at 12.
Here's my other thing with this. If we go back and look at some of the previous AP polls, every team that's been on a bye has dropped.
Oh.
Why is Miami moving up one?
Well, that is interesting. That is a valid point. That is a valid point. So, I put SMU at 12. They put Boise State. I put Texas A&M at 13. They put SMU at 13. I put Army at 14. I think Army deserves to be 14. And many people believe that they could be a little bit higher. They are undefeated. I know that they haven't played as many. But I put Army at 14. They have BYU.
I agree with that.
At 14 or higher?
Honestly, I'd probably put them at 13 and then move SMU down one. But really,
So they put BYU at 14.
Yeah. I mean, but that's consistent with how much drop other teams have had when they lost their first game. It's been 6-7 spots. So, I mean, I can't discredit them for putting BYU at 14. They dropped 7 spots.
Were they 8?
They were 7.
Oh.
If they dropped 7 spots.
I thought they were 8 or 9.
Nope. I've got the poll pulled up that says they dropped 7 spots, so they would have been number 7 ranked.
So I put Tennessee at 15. They put Texas A&M at 15. I put BYU at 16. They put Colorado at 16. I put Colorado at 17. They put Clemson at 17. I put Clemson at 18. They put Army at 18. No love for Army in the AP poll, guys.
Did Army play this week?
No, they were on a bye.
See, that's what I'm talking about. They dropped 2 spots because they were on a bye week. But Miami moved up one. Like, make it make sense.
So we agree on the next couple. 19, 20, 21, and 22. I agree with the AP poll. My poll matches them. At 19 is South Carolina, and they deserve that. They deserve. They're a 7-3 team, and they're probably the scariest 7-3 team in the nation right now.
I disagree. Well, they deserve to be ranked, but not at 19.
I put Tulane at 20, guys. Tulane's had a really good season, and now they're ranked again. They were ranked last year, but now they're ranked again, and they're ranked 20th. And they have a chance at going higher, if they beat Army in the AAC title game. So,
just interesting.
Arizona State is at 21. They're 8-2, flying under the radar. And many people say that they probably deserve to be a little higher. The only reason why I put them below South Carolina is because South Carolina was already previously ranked. So Iowa State at 22. They had a couple of losses. Got back in the win column. Now this is where we just don't agree at all. I put Memphis at 23. They're 9-1. I didn't realize that they were 9-1, but they're 9-1 or 9-2. And I put them at 23, but the AP poll says UNLV at 23. I put Washington State at 24. They were ranked. They lost. They were ranked 18th. They lost a game, drop them, about six spots. And so I put Washington State. They put Illinois. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Illinois shouldn't be on the list. Memphis should.
Absolutely. Now
Memphis should be 23.
Which is what?
UNLV 24, and then keep the last team.
So I put Washington State at 24. They put Illinois. I put Missouri at 25. I mean, they did lose versus a ranked opponent, and the AP poll tends to kind of go with it's not sometimes how you win, it's how you lose. And they lost a close one to a higher ranked team now. Well, but then just a couple spot lower ranked. The AP poll put Washington State at 25. So
I'd agree with Washington State at 25. I don't think Missouri should be on the list.
Wow.
I think Missouri has pretty much shown us who they are.
Okay, so we did the top 25. I have a question for you because somebody commented, and I wanted to see what your thoughts are.
Okay.
If you're a team, would you want that first round bye, or would you want to play and like remain hungry, so to speak? Or if you're a head coach,
It's a very interesting question. I think I'm really realistically looking at it from like an injury standpoint. If I have a whole bunch of banged up players, I want that extra week of rest.
Right.
If my team's fully healthy and we're on a hot streak, somebody like Boise State, where they lost to Oregon, haven't lost a game since, and they continue to go undefeated. Like, if that's the case, I don't know if I'd want the first round bye, because
kind of take away that momentum.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, the extra week of rest and preparation, because what a lot of teams do, and you see it in the NFL, like, that very first week, that bye week, is not really a bye week. Yes, they're not playing a game, but they're already
getting ready.
They're game planning for either team. Right. They're watching film on both teams.
Right.
That way, during that next, that's why Andy Reid's so good at coming off a bye.
Right. Because that's what he does. Is he sits there and watches, and he's like, okay, half the week we're going to get ready for this team. The other half of the week we're going to get ready for this team, and then it's like, okay, now we know. Now we can finish getting ready for that team.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't look at it this way, but the playoff bracket is set. Once it's set, that team that's on the bye, you can look at that other side of the bracket and start game planning realistically. Like, okay, if we win out, who would we face, in the national championship? And you can even get a little edge up
on
that way too. Yeah. And you could take those even in your bracket, take those teams and, realistically, like, who will win this matchup? Who would we play next week?
Well, because
there's a lot more to the bye.
I believe in college, because NFL, it kind of varies. Like the number one seed faces the lowest seed remaining. So some of the seeds kind of go from up here to down here. I think in the college bracket though, whoever wins the 5 versus 12 matchup takes on the number one team, and then whoever wins, 6 versus 11. Will face the second team, and so forth and so forth. And so yeah, you kind of do get that feel of like, well, I know I'm either going to be playing Ole Miss or I'm going to be playing Indiana, you know? So,
Yeah.
and those are just examples, guys. I don't think Indiana is going to be matched up in versus Ole Miss, but who knows? We don't know what's going to happen in these final couple weeks of the
Yeah.
regular season. You know,
It's really, the bye week is a two-edged sword. I mean,
yeah,
there's not a right or wrong answer. I think it's very coach dependent.
right,
You know,
yeah.
somebody like Andy Reid, it's a good thing. Somebody like, you know, Kyle Shanahan, not
Well,
really that
I'm trying
great.
to think of I'm trying to think of like a college coach. Okay, like Nick Saban. I feel like Nick Saban or Kirby Smart off of the bye, you know, is
Yeah.
kind of equivalent, like the college equivalent to Andy Reid. And
Yeah.
then, you know, somebody like maybe like Kurt Signetti, who we don't know yet, uh, or one of these other teams, Dan Lanning or the Notre Dame coach. We don't know, so maybe they want to be like, hey, I just rather get my guys in there and play. So,
Yeah, for sure.
well, that was the top 25. Ours, Steven gave us his, I gave mine versus the AP top 25, and I gotta say, I'm not gonna lie. I really struggled yesterday morning. Like I wake up early on Sunday mornings and I start prepping for the college side, as I'm sitting here watching the highlights of the games that maybe I didn't get to watch or stuff like that. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I really struggled with how I was going to, where I was going to put BYU, where I was going to put Tennessee, where I was going to kind of put that back half of the top 25, that back little quarter section, because there were so many teams in like the 20s that lost. And so then, like, I literally had a list of teams and I was going through and I'm like, okay, this team has this record, this team has this record, this team has this record, and luckily it kind of just started working itself out. But it kind of became a struggle because it was like, man, there's like a lot of 7-3 teams. So now, like, which one do I put in? Which one do I leave out? And I'm sure the AP poll probably has a similar process, but they have like a whole panel, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yep.
all right, guys. Well, we have hour 2 coming up in just a few moments. That wraps up hour 1. We thank you for listening, and we'll see you back for hour 2.